Well, okay, I think we've probably given it enough time. We're probably going to have a small group since I posted the reminder a little late this time. So I just wanted to go quickly over the sidebar stuff. Unless anybody was coming with questions, we could start with questions first. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in. So I am essentially going to recreate kind of the same things that I have here. I already have, it looks like an Instagram feed that I embedded with HTML code. These different like buttons, the community events and the social media buttons, I created those adding an image and then adding a link on top of them. And then the Speakers Bureau button is just the button style that we have in MyLO, and then added a link as well. I had thought of this because one of the most recent questions in the Google group had to do with, I believe, the Vote 411 widget in the sidebar, and we never really got to resolve it. So I wanted to show it off. So I was able to find this page here on the National League site just by Googling Vote 411 widget. And there looks to be a number of at least 2 pages from the National League. I wonder if this one has any additional information. Okay, so it looks like from this page, you can reach where we just were, the website, widget, and QR code. But then additional stuff about Vote 411 if your state is using that. Coming back to, where is it? The website, widget, and QR code page. Just a quick note about QR codes. They're best to use when just off of online places. So putting it on your website might be difficult for users to access since they may already be using their mobile phone. But if you're in in-person events or any other kind of event where folks might be reaching you with physically with a mobile phone, then that's the best place to just copy this image, or you would save it and then upload it to wherever you're trying to place it, either online or to then be able to print it. But let's go ahead and copy the code for the widget. There's the version with the logo and the version without. It's just a matter of preference, but I'm just gonna go ahead and copy what's there. With this line of HTML code, in case you ever wanted to make use of this for your own, HTML library, when you start the tag with an exclamation point and a couple of dashes, that is the beginning of an invisible note for just the developer. So anybody who is going to be looking at the HTML side, which are going to be MyLO webmasters, or if somebody does decide to look at the HTML side from the public side, they'll be able to see whatever invisible note you have there. It's helpful if you have a bunch of HTML code and you're trying to separate kind of the chunks of it. But I think I copied that. Let me double check. And I'm going to hop back to my home page. And the sidebar is located in the home page. So we make a new draft and come down to the sidebar content. So since we already had a couple of items already added there, I could just really easily, the easiest way to do it is to come down to the sidebar embed code section and just add a new block. This way I'm guaranteed that this block of HTML is by itself. But again, like I said, I have these little notes above and below it. So I could add it wherever I'd like to. So just for the demonstration, I'm going to also add it to the top of here. So I'm going to swap back to full HTML. And since I'm adding it to the very beginning, I don't have to have like any placeholder or try to find my spot before I swap to full HTML. And I'll just paste that in. If you wanted to keep it clean for yourself, you can hit enter, but either way, you can go ahead and save from the point of pasting it in. You do have to publish since it's the sidebar to be able to see the changes, and save. So we have a version of it up here and down below. And it does look to be that it scrunches down to the size of its container. So the container right now that it's in is the sidebar. I would imagine if it were added to the body of a page, it would be its full size, which I don't know if it, I think this might be enlarged. But as far as adding any type of widget, all you need is the embed code. We can also generate a social media one. We're probably familiar with this documentation. Right now, it only has the Facebook and the Twitter instructions, and all you need is for both of them is the URL for each social media page for whichever league you're trying to add a widget for. So I'm going to go to the Facebook. It's called a page plugin, but it's essentially the little widget of a timeline. Down here below is where we start to specify the details of our widget. Automatically, it fills in timeline for the tabs. I believe that if you go down below, it gives you, it gives you more information about the types of tabs you can have. So if you wanted to have events, messages, I'm assuming it's a way to be able to have them message you through Facebook in a widget. But you have different options for what type of widget by changing the tabs, or at least what is the information to be displayed. And then the Facebook page URL is which Facebook page would you like to pull up information for. So let's actually pull up California League. And really, I can just copy from here. I'm copying since I see that it's the facebook.com, I'll go ahead and double check. But that is the link to be copied. This is going to be the same one that we just had copied from Google. So now that I have the Facebook page URL, I can paste that in. And what it should do in real time, if I click to another, another option, there we go. It updates in real time, the developer page here on Facebook. So it's nice to be able to see what you're actually doing. With the width, it looks like it may only accept a pixel width. Let's see if it'll accept 100%. No. Okay, I don't think we actually have to set 100% there ourselves. It looks like the adapt to plugin container width will probably take care of that. That is just to guarantee that it's not going to spill over your container like the sidebar, or typically that's usually the issue if it's not, responding to the different container size that you're putting it in. So make sure that that is checked, but that's typically checked by default. The height is probably something that you may want to check. Sometimes these can go long, especially if you don't have very many things added to your sidebar. Sometimes having just that timeline itself, since it can go longer, it will just kind of fill up as much space as it can. So as far as a recommended size, I'm not too sure. We could play around with it some. 400 we can see is a little small there. Why don't we double that? And that's about the size of a full post with an image and a good sized amount of text there. But play around with the height, and you can play around with these different options, hiding the cover photo. They all will help to make things smaller if you're looking for that.
And can you tell me exactly where you are right now?
Right now it is developers.facebook.com, and I pulled this, and sorry, I'm not dropping links. Let me go ahead and drop the link from where I first began. I got that Facebook developers link from this page that I put in the chat.
Oh, from your page. This is one of your MyLO pages.
But you went from showing us how to put 411 right to Facebook without really taking any more time on that 411.
And I can go back to that too. Yeah, sorry, that was a quick transition. We can take some more time to add maybe the other version. We can add it in different places and then talk about it some more.
Well, I was curious about, I mean, it looks like you have to use the pull down to find your state. Is there some way that you can make it, have that a default for the state? Because I mean, people in my state who would be using that on my site would probably not need to put the state in, right? We know what state, well, I guess they could do another state, but they're more likely to stick with the state they're in because that's where they're going to vote.
I am not entirely sure, since the code is so simple. I'm not able to like really guess where we could fit something in, and I wouldn't even know where to begin.
That's something from the League of Women Voters of US, maybe even, right? That's the US widget.
Yeah, since it is their widget, they would ultimately be able to do that. I was just trying to see if there was a way we could shove a little piece of HTML code in there to try to force it to display it. But I think it being an iframe, it's protected so that they are able to, the only ones able to edit it or the settings of it.
So if we wanted that, Liz, I'm thinking we as a league could ask the League of Women Voters US if they could change it or if they could do something about that.
Add a version of it.
Or the Illinois League might be able to ask the US League, can you change this? Can you give us a widget for just Illinois?
Right, or else we could probably look around. There might be a solution on the web if we delved into it.
I'll take a note. I do meet with our developer team periodically, and so I'll see if there's anything that they can think of. Because yeah, I like I said, I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, it'd be interesting to look at some other leagues, like in Illinois. Not everybody in Illinois uses 411 because our state league wants us to use a different product, but we do use 411. I don't know what you do, Barb, at yours.
We use 411.
Yeah, but the league they were hoping we'd use an Illinois voter guide, but we didn't buy into it.
Because I never even heard about it.
Oh, I'm sure, because they did like it. They've done a lot of presentations on it because they want you to use it.
They've never invited me, so if you get invited, let me know.
Because like the Naperville League just goes to, that's interesting. The Naperville League goes to vote411.org. And that's just the same old thing where you have to put your state in. All right. Well, I don't mean to monopolize this with that question.
It would be an interesting question to ask of the National League, though. I wonder if it would be something that they would have to make for each state, or yeah, it would be nice to know, since there's a number of states that are using it already. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back to the Facebook plugin page. So we started off here with the social media widgets documentation. Here at the top is where the links are to start creating your widget. They call them plugins, but they're synonymous. So we're doing the Facebook plugin right now, and we're working with, so far, this is what I'm going to be plugging in, embedding into my site. So I just scroll down below the little example and I click Get Code. So there are two steps, two chunks. What we can do with our site is just add them to the same, or actually what we're going to do, since we're adding it to the sidebar, it is going to be in the home page, both in the home page, but they're going to be in different sections. If we were, well, I'll get to that in a second. So the first chunk, it says to ideally add it right after your body tag. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to add it under the body section. So I copied this already. I'm going to come back to my home page and start a new draft again. So under the home page main body content, I'm coming down to body with embed code. This is where I'm going to add a third-party embed code box and replace that text with that first step, first bit of HTML code. And then I come back to the Facebook code. And then the step 2, this is where I want it to appear on the page. So if I were doing this to have it display on my voting page or any other page other than the sidebar, anything like that, you'd still add that first step to your homepage body with embed code section. And then you add this to your page or the section that you want it to display in. Since we're working in the sidebar, that's where I'm going to add that to. This time I'm going to have it actually under the Instagram feed. So I'm just going to replace it. But if I were working, you know, to add on, I would just click add third-party embed code, and I'd get a new paragraph box. But I'm gonna go ahead and paste in what I had. And we all can move those around with our grabby handles if you want to rearrange that. So now I have my Facebook feed above my Instagram feed. And we'll publish this so I can see my changes. All right. So there we have the Facebook feed, and we did make it a little quite long, and then the Instagram feed. And so any questions so far about that? I can also do the Twitter feed.
So you have up above that, you have the find us on Facebook. If they click that, they would just go to your Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
But if they go down below, that's the feed coming from your Facebook page. Is that what you're saying?
Right. At this point, the Facebook find us on Facebook button is just going to link to whatever you have it linked to, like whatever the URL is. And I, for some reason, have it going to just facebook.com at the moment. But yeah, you could set it up to go wherever. Like, yeah, I
So
just have
what's
it
going to
going
be
to
on
the
that
home.
on that feed? Will that be your latest post or your top post, or what is it going to be?
Yeah, so it's going to be your timeline copied over. So whatever your I think it is set up by your most recent. So most recent are floating to the top. Those are going to be what they're going to be able to see here on the widget, and they can scroll through. And I believe it just, yeah, it just keeps loading posts as they get to the bottom, and they can keep scrolling. There is a find us on Facebook button as well if they do reach the bottom and it's loading. Whoops. But let's actually play around with that a little more, since we know that here in the settings, you can tweak things a little bit. I'm going to play around with the tabs. So we're going to add events and messages. It says it adds multiple tabs. Okay, it doesn't really explain how they're going to look or physically be displayed. So let's test it out. Okay, it gives us tabs up here on the top.
Oh.
If we had events posted, they would show. Okay, and then the messages is a way to message you. It gives the person a way to message your league through Facebook, but they would have to be logged into their Facebook to do that. But that's, you can, create different widgets for the different tabs if you just want to show your events. And again, I don't have events, or we don't have events on our league page. What was the other one? Messages. And then this would be if they're, I guess it's useful because then they can message you, but at the same time they would have to log in first through the widget. I think regardless of if they're logged into their actual Facebook page, they would still have to log in to the widget. So use that as you want with that warning. But yeah, that's pretty cool with the Facebook feed. Most of these settings we can toggle with like the checkboxes that they provide us. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Cover photo. Not exactly sure what this last setting means, but most of those settings are what you can control up here anyway. Any other questions about the Facebook timeline? Okay, I'm going to jump over to the Twitter. So this one, publish Twitter or publish.twitter.com. Enter a Twitter URL. You could also enter their handle or a hashtag. I'm not too familiar with Twitter, so a list I'm assuming is maybe related tweets. But let's work with, does everybody just want to see a profile, like it would be a league's profile? Would you like to see a tweet? Do we want to see a hashtag?
The tweet, I think. Oh, you mean a single tweet?
It would be a single tweet embedded.
No, you want to see a list like Facebook, I would think.
Okay, so why don't
Well,
we do a
others might have a-
profile? I think that's probably the most wanted example. I just wanted to see if anybody wanted to see anything different.
Of course, these things are so tiny. it takes you have to have really good vision. I put mine on a separate page because I thought
Oh,
that they could
the
go,
feeds.
yeah, I put all the feeds on one page. But then it's a page, so you don't have to put your head up to the.
So, okay, I'm trying to find a way to copy a clean version of the link, but that's fine. It's this URL up here, but since it comes with this long string that we do not need, I would recommend removing it, but sometimes it's not easy to remember. So I was trying to find a better way to just copy the link. Oh, here we go. If you find their handle on a tweet, that's the cleanest way, but twitter.com/whatever the Twitter name is, if you just type it out yourself, is probably the easiest way. So you have a clean, fresh URL to work with. Then you can hit enter or hit the little arrow. Let me zoom in a bit here. There we go. And so we can choose between the embedded timeline, which I think is what we were talking about. And then I could do Twitter buttons, which allows them to, I believe, reach out to us. So it's like adding, you know, sending a tweet to us using our @ symbol and putting our handle, and then they would be communicating to us through Twitter. But I'm going to go ahead and, oh, well, it shows us a demonstration. Let me click on the Twitter buttons. Okay, so it would be a follow button or a mention. So what I was explaining was a mention. So you start a conversation right from your website, or allow them to follow you, and they would start getting updates from you on Twitter. But we're going to do the embedded timeline. And then it asks here if you would like to set customization options, and I would recommend to do that. This is the example down here of what we're getting. It is rather large. And I just want to make sure, does it have the automatic width? I don't believe so. I'm going to try to force a percentage. It does not take it. So let's just test it out first. It may automatically include the automatic width within the code that they've created without even giving us an option to turn it off. So let's move on. The options of it to look light or dark are there. I'm going to just leave it the same color. But actually, we're talking about its, readability. Maybe making it dark could help with making it a bit more clear when the rest of the website is white. Possibly having it in a darker shade could help, especially if it's a little smaller text. And then the rest we can just update and then copy the code. So let's go ahead and paste that in like we did with the Facebook. Coming back over to my home page, I'm going to start a new draft. And why don't we just squeeze it down at the bottom? Oh, I didn't click that. Okay, so we'll add a new one. And let's replace that and paste. All right, so we're not going to make any changes yet to the width or anything. We'll publish that and see what we get. All right.
Whoa.
Oh, so this is an example of we want to set the height because Twitter just wants to go on and on and on. Yeah, so we can do it one of two ways. Let's show the easiest way. If I just come back to Twitter if I luckily have the page open like this, it's easy to just click the set customization options again and change the height. Or if you close the page, just go through the steps again, starting at publish.twitter.com. And then you'll generate the code again and or choose your Twitter page and then click set customization options.
What do those little arrows do next to the height?
It
Changes.
lets you go up or down. 200 is the minimum height, and you probably don't want it to be that small. And it just lets you go up number by number. We can test out what we were doing before. 400 is about a tweet long, depending on how lengthy the tweet is. And then let's see what 800 gives us, which is probably a little long as well. Let's try 550 just to give everybody examples. And the width, I think, of our sidebar, I'm going to double check so I can mimic a better version. Whoops, sorry. There we go. So I just want to make sure this is, where is the information? Oh gosh, this is so long. It's probably like 200 pixels. How big is this? 250. Let's just go with that.
Well, wouldn't
Sorry.
it just automatically fit it into that?
It does, but since this is so large, I want to just show the 250 here as well so that it's a better visual.
Okay.
So 550 is not bad if you don't want it to be super long and it shows about a tweet and the image. That's an option, but play around with the height, and let's just do that now. Since that code is just, or the widget is just way too long. All right, so coming back, let's make that change. Oh, and so since that was the easiest way to do it, to just go back to publish.twitter.com, the other way to do it is, oops, let's see. So I'm going to actually just paste the embed code underneath. And I wanted to show that that's the difference. So that is the piece that was added. It's definitely easier to do it through publish.twitter.com. But if you happen to remember that, and there's, since the theme also has that same beginning, that might help to remind you if you wanted to just manually add that piece in. But you have the Twitter publish page always. So I've replaced that with the one that has a specific height. So let's see what that gives us. I love that it's still here, but it'll shorten in just a sec. We can already see that my little sliding bar is much bigger, so that means a shorter page. Yay. Any questions? Okay. So
Can you just repeat what the URL is for the LWV site for the widgets? Or
oh
go
yeah,
back to it.
it is my.lwv.org/social-media-widgets. And that has Facebook and Twitter. I will double check to see if Instagram has a similar page.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now that we've done a couple of those, are there any other widgets that I know that a lot of y'all add payment buttons? That one is not so easy to grab code for a demo, but any other type of widgets that your leagues are using or that you've come across that you might want to see examples of, or
Well, I use one to count down to the
oh
election, um, and that might interest the other people.
yeah, why don't we do that? And we could probably find something that will give us a code. So countdown widget, I'm going to just say code generator. Or let's see, let's just put HTML code. And I usually
I
don't
think
go
that's,
very far.
yeah,
I'm going to zoom in some more here. There we go. Okay, nice. It gives us an example of what we're creating, I would think. Let's see if I change it. Yeah, so it does dynamically change as we're creating it. Okay, the text is up here. Okay. If we, okay, the background is the tiles. That's nice. So I'm just gonna go with that, I think. Let's see, what does this change actually? The time units color, I'm not sure what that is.
would be the numbers, wouldn't it?
I would think so.
But it doesn't change.
Oh, digits color is down here.
Oh, there. Oh.
Whoops.
Oh, maybe
Okay.
it's the dots, the two dots between the entries. See,
Let's see.
maybe you change the color of those. Change it to, yeah, see if
Some
the
yellow,
green.
maybe. I'm not sure.
Oh, it doesn't change it?
We're at bright yellow, but that's totally fine. Let's see, it just gives you probably some instructions down here. I'm going to go ahead and finish up. So you can create a countdown link. It's
But
probably
we
not
want
as
it.
useful. Yeah, we want
Yeah.
to embed that. I was trying to think of a time that you might want to link, but you probably don't, because folks would have to click it to then be able to see it. We want them to be able to see it immediately. So we copy this and
Can you copy that into in the comments too?
this link.
Well, both actually, the link as well as the thing you just created.
Oh,
The-
sure.
But this is interesting because did you put the date in for the election?
Oh, I did
mean-
not.
I mean,
Thanks
we
for
got,
catching that.
yeah,
I
but
just started going with what they had. So let's actually refresh the page. There we go. So the end time is what we need to change.
well,
Thanks for
yours is
catching that.
yours is coming up really soon. Ours isn't until the 28th.
Oh, nice. You have some time before the
Well, it's
frazzle.
because of the census. The census was so slow, they couldn't do the districts, and so they had to move the.
Oh.
Yeah, so do it for the 28th so we
Or
can use it.
8 p.m., right?
Or is yours?
Oh, for the 28th?
Yeah, would you? So
Sure.
we could just copy your stuff. We wouldn't have to go through all this.
Which times, should I just put Illinois or would it pop
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, Chicago.
Should I do Chicago? Is this a different time zone?
It
No.
just says Illinois City. That's fine, right?
Okay.
That's fine, yeah.
I'm gonna go
You like
ahead
those
and
colors, Liz?
Not particular. I already have one, so but it's
Oh,
a
okay,
it's
sorry.
a
Okay, this is
different.
fine. This is fine.
I don't like the way they, but I think that you see on when they
I can do
change.
the, what did we just have? Or And there's
Oh.
columns, there's
Oh,
circles.
Oh, that's a little weird.
this looks good. This, for me, that's good. If you're not going to use it,
Let's
Liz,
do
I
it.
just thought I
Yeah,
could use it.
you should say what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, if you give us the link and you give us the HTML code, then I could just paste it in. I wouldn't have to go through all the link.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and drop this as well, and we'll paste that into our demo site here. Let's add it, I guess, to the sidebar. We're throwing everything in there today. But it's something that you can have anywhere. Let's actually add it to both. So I'm going to add it to the bottom of the body. So we just added a new third-party embed code paragraph box, pasted that in, and I just also want to see what it'll look like here in the body. We've seen you can add to the sidebar embed code, or if you have it set to fully HTML, you can add to the top like I'm going to do here.
Does it, see, the one I use is a general purpose one. Does this actually say countdown to election, or do we have to add that?
You did add that earlier.
I had added it earlier, but I forgot to make the change. So Barb, in the one that I pasted in at the very end, you'll see it says countdown caret slash a. But after the word countdown, just add a space and start typing countdown to election, whatever you want to type. Since it's only going to say countdown at the moment.
Oh, after the countdown, before the /A.
Start typing the rest of the title that you'd like.
Okay.
Okay, so I made a quick change to my title. It'll now say countdown to election. And I'm going to go ahead and publish and save. And if anybody didn't like those styles of the countdown, just know that I simply Googled countdown widget HTML code, and you can start checking the rest of those results. Whoops, let me come back to the home page. Oh no. So we might have to look at the rest of them. It, for some reason, says incorrect embedded code. Please regenerate your countdown widget code.
What could be wrong about that?
Let me reopen that page that I had. Let's try time and date. They're definitely not as modern, at least from a first glance. I'm going to just say no, and we're going to look for another one here.
But there must be something we can see that's wrong about this. I wonder why there's a Q after the 789.
As far as?
In the code.
Oh, that has to be the link. I'm going to, oops, I clicked on it here. Oh my gosh. There we go. Clicked on it too many times. So this is the link to our countdown. At least we know it was created and it works, but
what
something is.
What if you view the code? See if there's any difference in how they embedded it.
Let's inspect this. I don't know if they'll have it pasted in the same. They have, oh, here we go. I have iframe. Let's try that. So this is already a little cumbersome, I think, for this. If it's going to just tell you that the first code is wrong, we'll definitely try another one, but this probably will be.
So I'm scrapping that whole thing you gave me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see. it is different. So what it gave us was a JavaScript, which is usually, I really don't know exactly the difference, but I think it's more dynamic, like it updates. But an iframe should be sufficient because it's just a time or a countdown. So let's try that out.
Where'd you
I
get
can-
that iframe from?
It's not going to work. So I visited the link, this share link here that it provided me. And this is what I saw. And I clicked inspect. That gives me the HTML of the page. And I had to click this little icon that gives me the arrow. That gets me to jump to the piece of HTML code here. So it's not the simplest of steps. Thanks, Liz. Yeah, let's check this out. Nice. Do you remember which service you used? Or it might be in your code, actually.
Yeah, it was in the code. I took it out.
Oh.
I didn't want it making people link to something.
Oh, I see.
I think I'd have
Does
to
it
look.
does it have maybe the name and the URL of your countdown? I'm not sure.
Let me,
No.
if I go to my, let's see, documents.
Yeah, I'm not
I might be able
sure.
to find a count if I look on. I document this stuff for myself because if once I do it, countdown HTML. Let's see. Oh, it's by countdown2.com.
Countdown to.
Oh, sorry, counting down. Counting down. Oh, I'll put it in the chat.
Is it 2TO?
No, no. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, counting down 2. Okay, awesome. So let me put this in the chat.
But it's more general purpose, so it
Oops.
doesn't, or, I mean, the countdown too, you have to figure, I always get a little confused when I'm counting down whether I put midnight of the day of the election or midnight of the day before, to get the real.
Yeah, if you're doing it until the end of the day, or
Right.
if you should do it at 11:59, yeah. But this is pretty straightforward and seems pretty easy to use.
It has a lot of different
Nice.
looks.
Okay, through the styles. Nice. I also wanted to see, I think this one is another option. I don't think it's limited, even though it says 0 a month. I just wanted to point out that one, it's an Elf site product, and I use Elf site for our FA or MyLO FAQ page and our search our videos page. And so it's really easy to use.
Well, maybe it's better. I have no special affection for this. I just know it works.
Well, it just another option for different styles to look through. Sorry, I have the phone ringing in my ear. So I'm just gonna leave it to, I don't know, 12 a.m. Yeah, I'm with Liz now. I'm like, I'm not sure what time to set
Oh, you
there.
could just say 7 when the polls close for the election. You don't have to choose between midnight and 11:59 if you're just going to say to the end of the election, polls close at 7.
7. And are y'all in the Eastern or Central time?
Central.
Central.
Thank you. So click save after typing the link. Link must begin with the HTTP or the HTTPS. I think we won't use that. It looks like
I didn't use that.
it might get filled in after we save. I'm not sure, but what is this? Oh, okay, you can make it rounded. Nice. So it's pretty
That would lend
versatile.
itself to a sidebar.
Yeah, being skinny like that. I'm not sure what reflective means. It may, oh, there we go. It's giving a little sheen at the top. That's kind of cute. Transparent background, we definitely don't want that. Show tenths of a second. I don't think we need that much urgency. I would love for voters to feel like that though. Hide date and title. Okay, so that's nice. So text effect as well, you could play around with. I don't know what, oh, this is probably like the bolded, the boldness of the text. So sharing probably gives you the link. Oops, hopefully it lets me embed it.
Well, the right one was embed.
Yeah, it's if you do the embed, it gives you the code.
Right, I thought it was going to open a new page. Let's see if it'll let me go back. No. Wait. Why is it not showing up vertical? There we go.
Boy, that's kind of a pain that it you lose everything.
Well, luckily it was just, I don't know why the vertical didn't just show up, but it was just the countdown date or countdown to date. And then the other little corner thing I did. Yeah, if you had done way more customizations, it would have been a loss. Okay, so when it comes to, if you needed a link for it, you'd use the share button, but we just want to use embed. And we get the iframe here. And we copy. This is a demo.
You're gonna put that in the chat?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So it says that it's going to have a watermark, but Liz, you said you were able to remove that?
Yeah, well, I just took it from the code.
Oh, okay. So let's.
It wasn't a watermark though. It was just at the bottom,
Like
where
just
it
text.
links.
Oh, okay.
You know, brought to you by or something.
Right. So let's do what we did earlier and add it to both places. So first I'm adding it to the sidebar. Oh, it's so simple. So let's see, just like that. And then, oh, whoops, no, I added it to the body and to the sidebar. So now let me remove it from the sidebar.
I didn't see the code in there that I removed. So maybe, let's see, you know, they update.
Yeah, it was really simple, this iframe code that they spit out for me.
So they
let's see. Oh, and integrated it into the code or something.
Yeah. Different website because it's TO, not the number 2. And Liz is using the one with the number 2.
Oh, okay. So that
it's counting down to number 2, not counting.
And .com. When I had went there, yeah, this is what I got when I went there earlier. So that's why I wasn't sure about the number 2.
That's not mine. Mine's countdown to TO.
Yeah, okay. I thought you said the number 2.
Is it
no?
Count? And it's not countdown to. It's counting down to. Oh, wait, what is this? Countdown to any day. Okay, so it is similar. There's another, but this.
Well, maybe this is just fine. Why don't you just try it?
We might as well if we're here. So this might be a more straightforward. I'm not sure where the name is going to display or why they need it. but I'll
Which
fill
one
it
are you
in.
using? Which one? What is this version? I don't
This
remember
is
having.
countdown to, it says you'll be able to create your own countdown page with a few easy steps. I think we don't have to go through this one actually. It looks like it's going to be a page rather than an embeddable item.
Yeah, I think
Um,
what you were working with looked fine. Did
did
you
I
have?
drop this one in the chat? Counting down to, yeah. So counting
Yes.
down to was what we were working with. And I think that works. Ah, here we go. Demo click to buy is not very cute.
Oh, I didn't buy anything.
So it must be different. Let me see what it says about activating your account. Yeah, so unfortunately, that's going
I
to be
may
a
have
paid one.
made this before they got mercenary. And I have the code, so I just use the same code, the HTML code,
I see.
and tweak it.
Nice.
But that's really funny that they did that.
For all of us then.
What was that?
Maybe she can put that in the chat, the HTML code that she uses for all of us, and we can tweak it.
Liz, are you able to tweak the HTML code to be your time zone or to be at different dates? Like a countdown to date, or is that what you change through the website that you use?
I think I can play with it. I'd be happy to share it if I can figure out where I did this.
Yeah, because if that is the case, then it would be helpful for others to have, and they could play around with too. While you're looking for that, I'm going to show off the Elf site version. Typically they have, like, for the zero, the free version, they'll usually have like a only can be viewed this number of times, but this doesn't have that.
Where are you now?
I'm on elfsite.com and I came to countdown timer. Let me actually go to elfsite.com and make my way to a timer. There we go, widgets up top. And then we can just search, or yeah, countdown timer.
And you know these are free, yeah? Yeah, this is
Yes,
free.
yeah. So let me just show off my Elf site account. I'm gonna log in. So we have, yeah, we just have two right now that I'm managing. It's our FAQs and then the YouTube gallery, which we use so that you can search by terms. YouTube channels or playlists, they don't allow you to use the YouTube search just to search those specific playlist you're looking at. So this YouTube gallery little app was a way to allow that to happen. And you'll notice that I have a limited number of views for each, but I've never hit the limit or gone above it. Or, you know, not really ever reached it ever. So they have a number of apps that you could use for free. And it's really just a way to create a widget, something dynamic or cool to have on your site. You could create a pop-up. You know, if you wanted folks to sign up for your email or something like that, you can have a bunch of different things.
So Maurice, you do have an account, but this doesn't cost anything, or?
Correct. Yeah, I have an account, a free account. And since both of these are the light version of the apps, they're the free versions of the apps as well. So as far as the account itself, I think that is always free. What you would pay for are the apps that you want to use pro or premium versions of. So I'm going to close that. Let's.
You know, I went back to the place where I went, and it doesn't. It's countingdown2.com, and maybe did you go to countdown to instead of counting down?
The countdown to was that chicken page.
This is counting down to 2, and I can make it that embed.
Counting down to.com is what I went to.
Well, for some reason I don't have any kind of membership, and I'm able to. It didn't
Let's see.
ask me for any money.
Maybe countdown timer, is that different? No.
It's countingdown to.com, unless I
And
have
then once, are you looking at that? Are you looking at the web page, or are you looking at it through the HTML code that you have, or how
I'm
are you
looking at the
referencing it?
web page.
And when you went to the web page, did you have it on website countdowns as the tab at the top?
What, it says edit countdown clock.
Edit countdown clock.
I mean, let me go. I don't want to waste people's time. I'm sorry but
how weird. Yeah, this is the same.
I guess this is an actual
Supposedly.
clock I had that I just edit as much
They
as I
are
want.
different URLs, so let's try it again on this one actually.
Well, I hate to waste people's time, but
no worries.
You could just take it as it is and see if it first just say embed and see if it gives you that message again.
True. Let's check that out. It does still give us the warning message down here that it's going to have the watermark.
Oh. Well,
but let's try
that,
it.
That counting down to to.com, that says that that's not a secure website.
Oh, mine says HTTPS.
So yeah, the first one that we were working with has HTTP with no S. So that's why it says that it's not secure.
Oh, okay.
And this one does have the S. And that's why I want to see if it may give us something different. But I suspect that it's just going to be the same here. Let's just change it for the sidebar.
I don't get any watermark. That's weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. But okay, let's go ahead and check out, see if we can do the ELF site one here. Oh, I probably could have started there. That's really fine. So countdown. Okay, that was the page. So we create widget. And we have a few quite a few styles.
It says sale ends. What does that mean?
So these are all examples. You're going to be able to change all of the like Black Friday sale up to 50% off. You'll have a chance to change all of those settings.
That's an example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
It's a template. And it's just giving you the stuff there. So these are, I don't know if they are, I guess if you put it in the body, it would fit technically across the body, but it's not going to fit across your screen, if that makes sense, since our content width is smaller typically than like a desktop screen. Let's just try to find a pretty generic one. But there are a good number of them. I think the first one is probably the easiest to go with here. So we continue with this template. With the stuff that you'll want to change, it's most likely going to be under button and style, but it's pretty self-explanatory which settings are under each heading here. So the end time, we'll just try the election date like we were talking about. And there we go. So I've
What
set
time
that
zone?
time.
What time zone? Oh, did you put the time zone?
Set
Oh,
time
there, okay.
zone manually. So what I can do is, I think, rely on the browser's ability to check the time zone of the user, and I can just leave it off. If I turn this on, I'm going to have to set it manually. Let's just test it out with it being off and see. Once I plug it in, then maybe some of you will check the demo site and see if you're able to see the timer in your time zone. I'm not sure.
You'll have to give us the URL.
Definitely. I'm just going to play around with these. Install to required position is probably the easiest to work with, so that you know exactly where it's going to display when you plug it into where you want it to. A static top banner, and any of these top banner, bottom banner, they might be nice in your sidebar, but in the body of your pages, they just may not display as nicely. The bottom banner may look nice on your page if you don't have too much content above it, so that it's not too far down. But typically we would probably see these like in the header or footer of a site. But since you don't have access to edit those sections, you just rethink the different positions that you can have. And then here is where we can change that information, like about the sale. The message before the timer is where you want to show off things to the about the countdown. And it looks like it does take what are they called, emojis. So that's cool if you wanted to have a little emoji added. And I'm on a Windows computer, so I can right click and select emoji. There was a little voting box, but I'm not sure where it is. I'm really just wasting time now. All right, that's totally fine. Not necessary. From there, we definitely want to change the button. But counters and labels, that has to do with your actual countdown, like tiles.
You can take off the seconds. That's interesting.
Yeah, you can.
Click it. Yeah, take that off. Yeah, that's better.
That's nice. Yeah.
Action after timer finishes, you could just hide it. You can show a message. You can redirect them to a certain URL. And actually for this, I would recommend that, like, if Barb, if you wanted to use this, you may want to recreate it, and we can have a you know, a call or a Zoom session where we go over this again, just because it belongs to the person's elf site account. And so I'd like you to have ownership of it if you ever wanted to, you know, reactivate it again for next election. Okay, so we looked at that timer.
How do you change the shop now thing?
It's probably going to be on the button. So the timer alignment by
Oh, okay.
default
Oh, I
is
see. Okay,
center.
yeah.
So now let's come over to the button. You can just turn it off if you don't need them to go anywhere. But if you do want them to, you know, I don't know, register now or something, or read about this selection or whatever you'd like them to go
That's
do,
nice.
you could then start putting in whatever MyLO page or whatever. It can go to whichever page on the internet, as long as you start with that protocol. If you don't know if it has the S or not, typically you're safe to just add that, and your browser or whoever's browser that's trying to visit it will, you know, fix itself to the proper version. Open the link in a new browser tab. You probably want to leave that set. Make the whole timer clickable. That means that they won't only have to click on the register now button. It's able to be a button entirely, the entire countdown itself. Let's go over to the style. Oh, okay, so you still have additional options. Whoops. When it comes to the template that you selected, you still have styles on top of that.
You might want the color to go with the color scheme of your web page.
Yeah, and that I think is also part of the style, or it might be part of advanced. Oh, here we go. No, it is part of style. And then holiday theme. That is cute. They don't have an election version of the holiday theme. While we're at it, let's show off, if you don't already know where the US branding standards are. They're good to keep handy. I'll open up a page where they have it on the site, and then so it's lwv.org/brand standards. But actually, I'm just going to drop in the actual view or the PDF link. And so jumping quickly to the colors, I'm just going to copy the colors that we have. What was I working on? This one here. RGB is what they're working with. 085 150. All righty. And I'm going to get rid of that button in just a second because I don't have anything for them to link to. But yeah, so you can manipulate all kinds of colors here. And let's see, whoops, I just went to that. Sizes and fonts. It looks like it's just about the sizes. So the font style is what it is. And animation. Yeah, that's there. That's there as an option. And then advanced, okay, it's just CSS that I never really play around with. They give enough styling options that you're pretty good to go with choosing a different template or different styles. So if you're starting out brand new with Elfsight, it's going to have this button, join to install, and you just sign up. You aren't going to be asked for your credit card when you first sign up. Again, if you wanted to upgrade any of your apps that you're using, then that's when they'll ask for your credit card. Let's see if I log in, let's see if it'll keep my creation. It did not, but that's totally fine. We at least saw it created. Let's actually just embed the demo. So I'm gonna click create, and we're going to save. So coming back to this, I'm going to pretend like I am done with this countdown timer and it's ready to be embedded into my site. This is the first time I'm going to embed it. I would click save. And okay, so it does unfortunately have only 200 views. Whoops, I wanted to keep looking at that. So that is one of the downsides, unfortunately, to the countdown. And that's what I was looking for earlier. With the free apps here on Elfsight, they do limit the number of views. But like I said, I use it for our FAQs and our search our videos page. I know that we don't have a whole bunch of traffic on those pages, but I will say I've never hit the 200 views limit. So just think about that if you are considering adding it. If you maybe add it to like a voting page or like a more internal page, you'll definitely be able to make it, you know. This is a monthly limit that they have.
That was a question.
Okay.
I was going to ask, but you already answered.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and click to copy. I don't know why they ask. I have installed the code. You can click that now, or you can wait until you're done. It might help to just leave it kind of there until you really have installed it. So we'll go back. And now that I'm thinking about it, since this is the free version, it will also have a watermark of some sort. But
Oh,
I
God.
don't think it's going to cover the countdown, but let's test it out. It typically has something at the bottom. So that was in the sidebar, I believe. There we go. I don't know why this link is still there. Let's try to get rid of that. But we see that free countdown timer widget there. That's the watermark. And if you click the X, it takes you to Elfsight. And let's see if this might be giving me all that information because I'm still logged in. So I'm gonna log out. Let's see what difference that makes. There we go. So now that I hover over the little widget, I don't know if you had noticed before, it was giving me a little bar up top and it was saying something like edit widget or something. And then it gave me the ability to click the X. Those were only showing to me because I was still logged into my Elfsight. So now I'm looking at it like a general public user or just someone who doesn't own the Elfsight account. And this is what it looks like. So it will have the little free countdown timer widget that does still, unfortunately, take you to a new tab.
What can you edit what does the code look like?
It doesn't have, unfortunately, a way to remove it. It just has, or it's a JavaScript, so it just has the necessary code, and they've hardwired it on their end to have that watermark.
Emery's, after 200 views, what would happen? It would disappear off your page?
I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to disappear. I think it is replaced. I'm not sure. Let's see if they have an answer.
Of course, with what you have with your FAQs and stuff, it would just not work, right? After 200 views until the next month. It would just stop being there or whatever, right?
Right. But as far as it not being there, I don't think that it's going to disappear completely. It would just possibly appear a message instead, like this widget is currently not available or something like that. I don't know what this is in regards to. I don't think this is a helpful documentation.
That's okay. It doesn't matter that much.
So yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but if it happens, I will let you know. We are at least somewhat close with our YouTube gallery page, but I don't have any sense that it'll happen. All right, so we've played around with quite a few different widgets. Did anybody in particular want to see the different buttons, like the social media or anything that's used with an image and then a link is added on top?
I'd like to see that, but maybe a different time if people want to go home. I don't know.
We could wrap it up with just that. I'll go ahead and add a new little button. Why don't we actually play around here with the home page? So I'm gonna first add, let's say I want to add buttons under my title here. I'm gonna first add the images that are gonna serve as these buttons. Hopefully I have some worthwhile images that I can like let's try the vote it counts button. And definitely choosing the right images will be helpful to you. This image may not be the most, what is the word? Like, it's not as obvious of a button. Definitely once we link it and, you know, our that cursor change that happens will be a tell, but it may not be as obvious. So choosing the right content of your image will be helpful. Like this button that we already have here for community events is pretty clear that that's what you're going to click to look at. You're going to click and look at community events. Find us on Facebook. It's a direct command. And vote it counts is not as clear, but you can create any image into a button is all I want to say. So I have the image selected that I've just dropped in. And we all know there are, I'm going to zoom in. There are two different linking buttons. If you use the insert edit link tool, you have to type in the URL yourself or paste it in. But if you wanted to just use the search to find a page within your site, you can click the other linking tool, link to content here. That brings up this pop-up. It also gives you the option to type in or paste in the URL, but down here under find content, and I do have to zoom out a bit, down below, you have a way to search. Up here, you can search for the content by title or by type, or I don't know where my mouse went. If you use the little page numbers down in the bottom, you can flip through the pages and just find it. It's an alphabetical list of all of your pages, committees, events, articles, action alerts, whatever content you have created on your site, it's going to be there, with the exclusion of your home page. I think slideshow items are excluded. Oh no, they are there. Your league custom headers, things that you wouldn't expect to be there are not there. But this is an easy way to just find the right page without having to travel through your own site to copy and paste it yourself. So once I click my voting page, it fills in what we call the node ID. It is another version of the page URL. So that is a quick way to be able to get to the voting page, and then we can just click insert link. So now we can tell that this is linked. The way that we can tell is by these two little icons being highlighted. When I have my cursor anywhere near this image, those two icons remain highlighted. Sorry, when I zoom in and zoom out, it unfortunately loses my settings that I just set. So I'm just going to do that one more time. So let's use the search. Whoops. And if that doesn't work, if the search doesn't pull up the page, you can just zoom out and use the page numbers, because that does sometimes happen. And then insert link. Okay, so I'm not going to zoom back out or zoom back in again. And I can still resize it. Let's just add one more. So I just added some spaces, and I clicked my cursor again into the spot, and we're going to add just one more. I'm going to search for the word button and see if we get anything. Okay, let's try voter registration button. It looks like, okay, it says drive, but let's pretend it just says to register to vote. We're going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to use the insert edit link tool. So I used our media library to find an image, dropped that in, and now I just type in the address that I want. When you are adding in a link URL, if it's an external link, be sure to always put HTTPS. Really, that's probably what you want to put for any URL that you're using. If you forget to add that and you just start typing vote411.org or www.vote411.org, the MyLO system assumes that the section before that, or the text before that, is HTTPS, my.lwv.org. So it thinks that this would precede vote411.org. Since I didn't put the protocol, is what we call it, the HTTPS : //. So just remember to include that portion when you're typing in your own links. And then we can make this open in a new tab, in a new window. By default, it is going to open in a new window. So we really don't need to set that actually. And I'll insert. So now we have both of these buttons set up. I'm going to go ahead. Let's just center them actually. That's just based on looks or preference, and I'll publish it. Since that was in the body, I could have just saved it as a draft if I wanted to check it out. But now we have vote it counts. It's taking us to my voting page. And whoops, the voter registration drive button is opening a new tab to vote 411. Whoops. I think we realized this last time that it requires a www. I think they may not have set up the DNS record for their root domain properly. So that's one thing to know. If your state does use vote 411, yeah, the address is www.vote411.org. But remember the HTTPS portion as well.
I added something about the counting down to. I had a note that said if you put BFV equals 1, it gave me a free version.
Nice.
I'd like to be sure that people actually have that experience, but I mean, you could embed it and see, but.
Well, and it already looks different when it has this message, free countdown.
Oh yeah.
I will include this link in the YouTube video description of the recording. I think that's good. Gotta have to be the trick. And it's still some good styles that it offers. At least the vertical one is there in the free version, which is nice.
Probably not all the functionality, but enough for us.
Definitely, exactly. So I think that's still a really nice option. So like I said, I'll include that.
And I can work with Barb if you want to try to add it to your website. If you're still there.
I'm going to try, but I'll contact you if I need help. Okay.
That
sound okay?
Sure.
Great.
Awesome.
I know where you are, Liz.
And I'm not planning to leave. Well, I mean, at least I don't live in Texas. I'm sorry if one of you lives in Texas. I'm sure you're working really hard. Oh, boy.
All right, folks. Well, I think that is the end of our session.